Hi guys, Jeffrey here. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can artfully respond to your wife when she's showing these narcissistic behaviors and respond in a way that will actually let you break through those behaviors. And I really want you to stay till the end because I really want you to be empowered with going beyond just diagnosing your problem and playing the victim or simply running away from the problem and actually tackle the problem head on and break through narcissism once and for all. And I've shown this to all my students and I practice this myself as well. And it's worked wonders for all my students and I'm sure it will work wonders for you as well. Now, before I begin this video, I want to let you know that I'll be hosting a free masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship from the ground up. And if you're interested in joining, be sure to stay till the end of this video for the announcement on how you can get in on that masterclass. And if you want more content that will empower you with the right skills and knowledge to be able to thrive in your relationship, then you want to subscribe and click the bell button as well to be notified when I post new videos 3 times every single week. Now, before I get to the artful ways you can deal with this situation, I want to take you back to, I think, the 2 videos before this one, where I showed you the true reasons why she's displaying this narcissistic behavior. And it's that it's not really that she's a narcissist. It's not a problem with character or a problem with her personality. It's not a brain problem or a hormone problem. It's more of a self-preservation problem and a form of a defense mechanism. And that's caused by the lack of safety. And if you look at the signs of narcissism here, the signs include like being defensive, your partner pinning the blame on you or shifting blame on you, reacting really harshly or really badly when you're suggesting something. Even if your suggestion is very innocent or very calm, she's reacting really radically to it. The other thing that could happen is you could have the covert or the vulnerable symptoms like stonewalling, shutting down, and being passive aggressive. Now, if you look at all these traits here, yes, all these traits can be assigned to a narcissist, sure. But it can also be a sign to that of self-preservation. The same way, when you're pushed to the corner, when you're experiencing some dire times in your life, when you're being accused, for example, when you feel this lack of safety, you will play out many of these behaviors yourself as well. So again, like we said in the video, this is a correlation is not causation problem where many people are misdiagnosing these traits, these signs as narcissism rather than self-preservation. Now, I really don't want you to misinterpret anything I'm saying here. So if you haven't watched the video from earlier this week on this topic, then I want you to go back to that video and really get a good understanding of what I'm actually saying, what I'm actually meaning here, because this goes against what I think a lot of people say about this topic. So now that we have that cleared out, once we understand that this is really a problem with the lack of safety here and nothing else, then we can get to the meat of this, which is the 5 ways you can artfully respond to someone who's showing these behaviors. Now, number 1 is you got to change the way you make your suggestions. And the way a lot of people make suggestions is they simply make statements. I think we should do X, Y, Z. I want you to be more X, Y, Z, and so on. Our suggestions are made in terms of statements. The problem with statements is that behind statements are always a lot of assumptions. You have to assume a lot of things before you can make a statement. For example, if you're telling your partner, please stop raising your voice at me. When you're making that statement, the assumption that you could be making is that she is choosing to scream at you, to get angry at you because it's her choice. That she has no choice but to. Or maybe she's doing it because she's trying to be mean to you. She's trying to abuse you or simply trying to be childishly getting her way the way she thinks or the way she wants you. Or perhaps you're assuming that it's a power game, that she's trying to assert her power over you. Whatever it is your assumptions are, every statement has a set of assumptions before it. Now, the problem is that when you start your suggestions with statements, what happens is it tends to get people's guards up. Because what is implied in the statements are your assumptions. And when she interprets your assumptions in the wrong way, or when you have your assumptions wrong about why she's doing something, her guard instantly goes up, safety goes down, and that's when you'll see a lot of these self-preserving behaviors that looks like narcissism, but it's actually just self-preservation again. So if that's the wrong way to bring up your own suggestions, what is the right way? Well, the right way usually comes in 2 parts. And all my students do this. It's been working wonderfully for them. I'm sure it will work wonderfully for you as well. Now, it comes in 2 parts. The first part is that you have to ask for her permission if she even wants to hear your suggestions. So you might ask, for example, hey, honey, something's been on my mind for a while. Do you mind if I share it with you? A lot of men especially think that asking for permission like this is a beta male thing to do. It's a weak thing to do, but it's actually a very smart thing to do. Because what you're doing is you're priming her brain, you're priming herself to be able to take whatever you have to say next more voluntarily. And it makes her more open to what you have to say next. So this is not a weak thing to do, it's not a beta thing to do, it's actually a smart thing to do because it gives whatever you're gonna say next a lot more power, a lot more impact. And once you ask this question and she says yes, the next thing you do is give your suggestion. But you don't just state your suggestions. I've been thinking about X and I think we should do Y, right? Don't end it there. Don't end it with a statement. Instead, ask, what do you think? And once you ask, what do you think here, it instantly turns that suggestion into less of an imposition. And it makes it more into a dialogue, more into a suggestion, more into an invitation for her to take it or disagree with it. And if you start to do this and you make this into a habit, you'll find that she'll be a lot more open to what you have to say, a lot more receptive to it, and she doesn't feel the need to play out all these defense mechanisms to respond to you. And you'll slowly figure out that, hey, if I say it this way, those narcissistic behavior really starts to go away as well. The second tip, the second thing you can try is to gently call out their behaviors, their narcissistic behaviors, straight on. Now, in this part, understand that tone also really matters here. Your calmness, your tone is going to matter more than what you say. But something you can say, for example, is if your partner is shutting down. You can say, okay, I notice you're shutting down. Can you tell me more what you're feeling? And I think a lot of people hearing this will think, you want me to ask more questions to enable those behaviors. Are you kidding me? Right? Understand that when you ask questions, you're not enabling her behavior. In fact, you're often disabling it. One, your questions and your tone will make her more calm. And that will remove that self-preserving behavior as we talked about here. Second of all, by asking the questions, you are putting it on her and putting her on the spot to let her look within and see why she's behaving the way she's behaving. And often you're going to make her realize here that there is really no reason for her to behave the way she's behaving. So a lot of people think that the best way to respond to narcissistic behavior is to simply call it out and say, stop being this. But if you do that, what happens is you're appealing to their logical side of the brain, you're making them even more defensive. And they might understand what you're saying, but emotionally they're going to resist against that. But if you simply make it her decision to realize it herself of why her behavior is inappropriate, then that changes the game completely. Because now she's voluntarily coming up to her own conclusion without you telling her to feel a certain way. And not only that, it gets her to express a lot of the pent-up stuff, a lot of the painful memories she has that she's been penting up that is causing this destruction of safety and causing all the self-preserving behaviors to be let out. And that can be a very cathartic experience for her. And when she feels that catharsis, she will feel a lot more safe around you over time. Now, of course, there's a lot more nuance to this. It's impossible for me to give you all the tactics, all the nuances in this particular video. So be sure to stay till the end because I'm going to give you some resources you can use that goes deeper, that gives you more ways in which to tackle this yourself. The third thing you can try is, if you're trying to ask these questions, if you're trying to give your suggestions, but all you're getting is a non-response. Maybe the response is something that you don't want. Maybe she's shifting blame again, or maybe she's stonewalling you, or just, trying to avert the question. Try to respond with silence. And most people, what they would do is when their partner doesn't respond to them in the correct way or tries to skirt the question, they get angry. It's like, stop trying to change the subject. Stop trying to avoid this. Just tell me your thoughts. Just spit it out, right? That's what they would say. But here, I want you to just deal with it with silence. So for my relationship, if my partner says something and I think that it's not a very good answer, she's just trying to kind of avert the question, I would just stay silent and silent for a very long time. And what's funny is that this silence is a subtle but very clear indication to her that the answer you just gave me wasn't good enough, that I'm still waiting for the real answer. And in this silence, it could be uncomfortable. It could be anxiety-provoking for you. But understand that the anxiety, that discomfort, is giving her the stage to want to say something more. And often that something more is exactly what you need to better understand your situation and to get her to calm down a little bit as well. And understand here that the silence can last a very long time. So sometimes the silence can be 45 seconds, can be a minute. It can feel very uncomfortable. But understand that in the silence, your partner is actually thinking about what to say. Let her think, let her synthesize, and let her come to you with a better answer for your question. Now, of course, here in the silence, the tone of the silence also matters. If your silence is like very tense and you're breathing hard and you're angry kind of silence, then that's not going to work. The silence here needs to be calm. It needs to be collected. It needs to be you simply waiting for an answer, waiting to discover more instead of you trying to pressure or coax her into saying something more using that silence. And the fourth thing you can do, this is a mental habit that you need to build, is discover until you can say, if I was you, I would have done and thought exactly the same thing. So what most people do in their conversation is they would ask one, maybe two questions, and they think that by asking one or two questions, they have the answers already. And when they think they have the answers, they will come up with like a new suggestion, new thing to say, but really the one or two questions wasn't even coming close to understanding the root of why she's behaving the way she's behaving, or why she feels this lack of safety and feels the need to self-preserve. So here's the mental shift that I want you to make. Every single time you're talking to your partner and you're feeling impatient, you're struggling to understand why are they acting the way they're acting. If you're thinking that their actions are overboard, are over dramatic, are over exaggerated, that there's no reason for her to act that way, it often means that you haven't asked enough questions and dug deep enough to understand what that root reason is. So I want you to really get into this habit of repeating and paraphrasing and asking more questions until you get to the root of the matter. And you know you got to the root when you can say, I understand where you're coming from. And if I was you, thinking the same way you do, knowing the same things you do, I would have done exactly the same thing as you did. And the way you keep digging deeper here is the same thing as number 2 here, which is you can use the repeat, paraphrase, and clarify. So you can say, oh, something I said made you angry. Can you tell me more how you feel about that? Oh, so you don't like my suggestions. Can you tell me what you feel about that? Can you tell me more about that? And you're going to continue digging deeper until you get to that root. And this really works because all this discovery you are taking part in is going to make her feel understood, going to make her feel heard. And it's the same thing when there's someone there who really wants to understand you, who really wants to discover you, not judge, not impose or anything like that. You'll feel safer around them. And with this safety, you'll feel the need that you won't feel the need to self-preserve anymore, because you'll think in your mind, you know what, this person's just trying to discover my thoughts, trying to understand me better. No need to be defensive. But if someone were to come to you and continue to accuse you, continue to make statements and so on that are wrong, and you don't feel understood, you're going to feel the need to keep shifting the blame, to keep justifying yourself, to keep stonewalling maybe, to shut down, to be defensive, to be passive-aggressive. Basically all the signals that we talked about of what a narcissistic behavior looks like. You're going to have the same impulse as well. So again, this works very well because by your discovery, by your questions, you're going to create that safety. And number 5 here should be the last resort, but this also works very well, is that, you know, in this journey, you might find that when you're asking questions, when you're trying to dig deeper, when you're using silence, that you're going to continue to be met with resistance. You know, more the narcissistic behaviors that we talked about. So maybe she keeps stonewalling you. She keeps being passive aggressive. She keeps being defensive. She keeps shifting the blame on you and so on. So what most people do here is they would either walk away in a huff and a puff and basically close their door and walk away, going, you know, saying, ah, you're impossible, walk away. Or they would keep digging deeper and deeper and deeper and keep perpetuating the problem of, oh, you're impossible, just tell me, stop being so defensive. Or maybe even asking more and more and more and more questions, making your partner feel very threatened. So understand here that if you simply walk away, you close the door, you get huffy and puffy and you walk away, that is going to remove safety even more, because you're confirming to your partner here that you didn't have the patience in the first place to listen. You don't understand what she's really going through. You don't understand that this is not her just trying to be mean, but trying to self-preserve. And if you keep asking questions, you keep berating the problem, you keep focusing on the problem and hounding her on it, what happens is your questions no longer becomes an invitation, no longer becomes non-threatening, but it becomes imposing. You know, it's like giving someone a wedding invitation and telling them, hey, can you please take a look at this wedding invitation and see if you want to attend? And the person goes, let me think about it. And you go, no, you have to think about it now. Think about it now. Think about it now. If you do that, the invitation no longer becomes an invitation. It becomes more of an imposition and people's guards go up and so on. Instead, what you should do here is to simply stay calm. If she's stonewalling you, if she's playing out all these narcissistic behaviors, it doesn't mean that she doesn't want to tell you or she's just being difficult. It just means that there's so much lack of safety, there's so much guard and so much anxiety that she cannot lower that anxiety, lower that guard enough within the context of this conversation. And simply use the repeat and paraphrase. So you can say, okay, it seems like you're not ready to talk right now. I just want you to know that the door is open. I'm ready to talk to you whenever you're ready. And just simply walk away. You know, what's funny about this is that eventually, during the most random times, she will actually come to you and tell you something that's been bothering her, something that's causing this lack of safety here eventually. And if not, if you keep playing out the script where you're trying to push further with questions whenever you meet this resistance, whenever you meet this behaviors, by asking, oh, it seems like you are stonewalling me or you are shutting down on me. Can you tell me more what you feel about that? And if she keeps resisting, you revert back to, okay, it seems like you're not ready to talk right now. Just know the door is open. You feel free to talk to me anytime that you want. If you keep saying this, she will eventually get the point that, you know what, maybe I can talk to this guy. Then she will start sharing. And this time she will share with you in a much healthier way as well. Now, the 5 steps that I showed you here, why does it work so well? Well, one is that, you're showing her that no matter what she does, there's no way for you to get unhinged. No matter how difficult she makes it for you, you can still stay calm. You can still be ready to listen, ready to discover. And you're ready for a dialogue, and your dialogue comes in the form of an invitation, not an imposition. And no matter what she throws at you, you won't judge. You won't be quick to make assumptions. You're not quick to anger. You're not quick to walk away. You're not quick to get derailed, and you're not rushing her in this conversation. You're patient, you're calm, you're open, and you're intent on discovering, simply understanding. And when you can show her this, slowly she will start to realize, you know what? I don't need to be so defensive. I don't need to feel threatened in this conversation, in this relationship, because this person is just really genuinely trying to listen to me, trying to help me out. And that it's possible to actually have a nice conversation with you where she feels understood, where she doesn't need to play all these defense mechanisms. That you're a good listener, that you're a calm guy, that you can find win-win solutions together. And when she realizes this, that's when her narcissistic behavior will start to go away eventually. Because again, often those behaviors are not a source of some problem with the brain or some problem with the hormone. It's a problem with situation. And the situation is that she feels threatened. She feels the lack of safety right now. And that lack of safety is leading to this self-preserving behavior, which looks like narcissism. Now, of course, this process is very, very nuanced. Now, I outlined to you these 5 steps here, but there's a lot more nuances to understand how to execute this properly. And it takes my students months to really master this stuff. So if you want more resources on how you can lead your conversations in a way that leads to more safety, then you want to download the guide in the description box below this video. And this guide will teach you how you can start, progress, and end conversations in a way that actually creates more safety and removes these signs of these narcissistic behaviors and self-preserving behaviors. And if you want to join my free masterclass on the 5 proven steps to rebuilding your relationship, and in this masterclass, in the 5 proven steps, the foundation of these 5 steps is emotional and psychological safety, which again is important to removing these behaviors. Then you also want to check out the link in the description box below this video. And also know that I'll be extending to you a special offer during this masterclass, but you can only get it if you show up to the masterclass. So be sure to check out the link down below. Now, if you want to connect with me on a more personal level, I do have a Facebook group that is free. You can join it, you can ask your questions and actually get good advice about those questions. Then you also want to check out the link below this video. Now, in the meantime, I do want to hear from you. What did you find most insightful, most eye-opening from this video? Let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you. And if you like this video, found it to be valuable, like it and subscribe to this channel for more content like this one. In the meantime though, I do want you to watch the other 2 videos I have on dealing with a narcissistic spouse so you can equip yourself with the right mindsets and the right understanding about how to interpret this whole scenario so you can respond to it in a more empowered way, in a more effective way as well. But with that said, I will see you in the next video.